Hey everybody, welcome back to Mad Horse Barbecue. My name is Brian, and in today's video, we're going to be smoking up some St. Louis style ribs, hot and fast, on the Pitts and Spitts Maverick 1250. My intention is to have my last video for that chicken wing, the bacon wrap wings, be my last on the Pitts and Spitts for a while, but I'm home the rest of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, with the little guy, and you can't really beat the convenience of being able to plug in a pellet grill and not have to worry about it, especially one as high of quality and caliber as my Pitts and Spitts Maverick 1250. But that's what we're going to do it at. It's about 40-some degrees outside. It's beautiful out here, really nice day out. It's a little windy, but I'm not really concerned about the Pitts and Spitts because if you've watched my channel, you've seen me cook on that thing and pretty much all the elements. So the two racks of the St. Louis style cut ribs, I got them inside right now. They are the pre-cut ones, and typically when I buy the pre-cut ones, they're not how I like them trim per se. So I am going to be doing a little bit more trimming to them, and got to rub them up. So come on inside, and I'll show you how I do that. All right, we are back. I already got one rack trimmed up. You can kind of see how it looks. Kind of rectangular, kind of uniform in size. It'll do just fine. But these are the ribs that I bought. We're going to trim up this other rack. These are just these Hormel spare rib, or Hormel St. Louis style pork spare ribs. Again, you can cook this thing right as it is. You can literally take it out, rub it down, cook it. You'll be just fine. But for me, I always like to remove that silver skin. I like to cut, there's that back flap right there too. I like to cut that off. And I just kind of like to square these things up because you'll see when you buy these things, they kind of look like a perfect rectangle a lot of the times. But when you get them out of the package, they don't look like that anymore. So let me cut this one out and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And I'll just real quick go over how I trim these up. All right, so here's what I'm talking about. You can see I get it out of the package, and you can see it's, it's kind of got a flap over here. You can kind of see that this end bone, or you probably can't see it, but this is already poking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this first one as a template, and I'm going to try to make this one into the same exact size as this one. So for now, I'm going to move this off to the side. First thing I'm going to do is flip this thing upside down, and I'm going to start right with this flap right here. There's no bone, really. There's some cartilage in there. So what I like to do is I like to try to find where that first main bone, I don't know if it's called main bone. That's what I call it. I call it the main bone. I try to find where that first main bone starts, kind of feel up and see how big it is. This one's relatively short, so I'm probably going to go to the second one. And that one goes up to about right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just take my knife and just make a line and cut straight down on it. And then what I like to do is kind of flip it over on end. And you can see on the other end, it's got this fat over here. It's not really I can trim this up, and I think this is, decent eating, but it's really not gonna look that great. So what I'm gonna do is, you can kind of see we got a bone right there. As I'm just gonna flip it upside down, and I'm just gonna take the first bone off. I'm gonna find the second bone, which is right here. And I'm just gonna kind of leave about half the meat hanging off of that second bone. Again, I'm just going to cut straight down, make a line. Next thing we're going to do is these St. Louis style cut ribs. Whether you buy them pre-trimmed spare ribs, I should say in general, whether you buy them pre-trimmed to St. Louis style, most of the time has this flap on it. So we're going to go ahead and cut the flap off, just like so. And you can kind of sort of see, just when this thing's laying down, it's kind of sloppy up here, so I'm just going to square it off. Perfect. At this point, I kind of like to lay the rack so I'm looking right at it, kind of see what it looks like when I squish it together. To me, this isn't competition, and nor have I ever done a competition, but to me, this is going to be just fine. Last thing I'm going to do, again, this is optional, is I'm going to remove this membrane, and to me, a membrane on a rack of spare ribs comes off most of the time a lot more difficult than baby backs. To me, baby backs just kind of work a corner and they just come right off. Spare ribs to me are a bit more of a challenge. So let's go ahead and see how much I struggle with this. And to me, this works better if you start here and you get a flap, like a little tab or something to pull on. It works better if you get the entire length of the bone before you go horizontal across the ribs. And if you want to see a really cool video how to trim up a full rack of spares in the St. Louis style cut. Well, first off, I have a video showing it, so watch my video first, which I'll put one of the little cards that pop up so you can click on it. But if you want to see a really cool video on how you trim a rack of spares in the St. Louis, you got to check out my buddy Darren over at Ash Kickin' Barbecue. He does a very good job. Doesn't nearly struggle as much as I do, or at all, but I'll also put his video up there as well. But again, watch my video first. Then maybe, if you didn't get what you needed out of my video, go and watch his. Alright, we're going to call that good. So, what I'm going to do, put both racks right next to each other. See how we did. Did pretty good. Size-wise right there, you can see that this one's just a little bit longer. I'll cook this so it doesn't go to waste. But now, both of the racks are pretty much the same exact size. So now it's time to rub them down. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, let's go ahead and rub these down. See, I got the BBQ prep tub out. First coat we're going to go on is the Boars Night Out White Lightning. We're going to do the backs first and then flip them over into the fronts. So. It's going to be good. Go ahead and go on with my not mine, but my go-to pork rub, Tailgaters BBQ Party Rub. And we're going to go on with the Boars Night Out White Lightning. That'll be good. Come back and hit it with the Tailgaters BBQ Party Rub. That'll be good with the Party Rub. I'll pat it in, and since I got it out, I am just going to go ahead and throw some smoked paprika on it. Okay, and I'm going to just kind of pat it in, and I'm going to call that good. So I'm going to go ahead and let these sit out probably for about 20 minutes, and we'll pick back up when we're throwing them on the Pitts and Spitts. So we'll see you then. All right, we are back down at the Pitts and Spitts Maverick 1250. I decided to go with 325 for a cook temp on these hot and fast ribs. So Pitts and Spitts is up to temp. Let's go ahead and throw these ribs on. Here's that little piece that I said I'd cook. Pop that right there. Go ahead and close this thing down. And I'm going to let these go for 1 hour. And I'm going to check on them for color and see if it's time to wrap. So we'll see you in an hour. All right, we are back 1 hour into the cook. Give you a quick peek at the ribs. There they be. What I'm going to go ahead and do is pull these ribs off, take them inside, wrap them up with some foil with a little bit of barbecue sauce, and then put them back out on the grill. So I'll take you inside and I'll show you how I wrap these up. All right, we are back. We're in the house. Got the ribs right here. Got the tinfoil right here. Barbecue sauce I'm going with today is my favorite barbecue sauce, Blues Hog Tennessee Red. Blues Hog makes every one of their sauces I absolutely just love, but this Tennessee Red to me is by far my favorite. We're going to put some sauce in the bottom, not a whole lot. Take the rack of ribs, stick it in the meat side down. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. This is 2 layers of aluminum foil. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is take these, put them back out on the smoker, and let these go for another 30 minutes. And then after 30 minutes, I'm going to take a peek at them, and might be time to sauce shortly after that. So we'll see you in about 30 minutes. All right, we are back. We are a total of an hour and a half into this cook. The ribs have been wrapped in foil for a half hour. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is pull one of these racks off and kind of see how we're doing for doneness. Just go ahead and take a toothpick, check them for tenderness. Yeah, I'd say they're getting dang near close to done. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is kind of put this back on. Kind of make a little boat out of this foil. Just like that. I'm going to take the rack of ribs and flip it over and kind of let that bark reset before I apply sauce. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to this rack as well. I'm going to let these sit on there just open like that for about 15 minutes, and then I'm going to come back out and I'm going to apply sauce. Be back out in 15 minutes and we'll throw some sauce on. All right, we're back. Hour and 45 minutes in. You can see it kind of reset on there. It's not soft. The sauce will spread on it. I'm going to put a coat on the bottom side first. Oh, it's hot. Use tongs, Brian. And again, we're using that Blues Hog Tennessee Red, favorite barbecue sauce right now, and has been for quite a while. That is gonna be good. Close this thing down. I'm gonna let these go for another 15 minutes, and it will be time to eat. So we'll see you then. Alrighty, we are back, and it is time to eat. 2-hour ribs right here. 2-hour ribs at 325. 1 hour's on smoke, or 1 hour's just directly on the heat. Half hour in foil. 15 minutes a set, and then an additional 15 minutes with sauce on. These have been inside now for about 10 minutes. They're still hot. I mean, I can feel the heat radiating off of them. But, go over to rubs. We did the base layer of the Boars Night Out White Lightning. Then we did my go-to pork rub, Tailgaters BBQ Party Rub. And then my favorite barbecue sauce, the Blues Hog Tennessee Red. So I'd say, without further ado, let's go ahead and cut into one of these racks. And I think we're going to go ahead and take the back rack. Let's go ahead and cut into these and see what we got. Go ahead and just take one right here. Oh man, take a look at that. Decent looking smoke ring on there. I'm gonna burn my mouth because you can just see the steam coming off on there. But that is a good looking rib. Looks super juicy, super tender. Let's go ahead and give it a try. Wow, that is that's a very clean bite. Like I said, these things are piping hot. But man, that is good. To do a rack of St. Louis style ribs in 2 hours, to me is just, it's pretty cool, because I would say once these cooled off and I set them side by side with a set I did for 6 hours on a pellet grill, I probably couldn't tell a difference. There is a faint wood taste in there, just faint, but that's pretty much everything that comes off of a pellet grill. The rub combo on there, that Boars Night Out White Lightning and Tailgaters Barbecue Party Rub is awesome. Topped with that Blues Hog Tennessee Red, again, just fantastic. So I'm going to call these hot and fast ribs, these 2-hour ribs, a success. I'll definitely be doing them again. If you haven't tried them and you're pinched for time one day and you want to do ribs, do them at 325. Follow this recipe, and I promise you, you will not be disappointed. So now, besides that, I got nothing else. We're going to go ahead and eat here. You guys and girls have a good night. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.